There comes a moment in life when the mask starts to crack, when the person you've been pretending to be can no longer silence the person you truly are. For me, that moment came on a quiet night when my fiancée, Jennifer, was working the night shift at the hospital. It started innocently. Curiosity, maybe. Jennifer worked nights 3 times a week, and during those hours, our apartment became my secret world. One night, I opened her closet and saw a simple black dress. Nothing fancy, just elegant. My hands were trembling so much, I could barely pull the zipper up. And then I looked in the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I saw me. Not the surgeon, not the man everyone expected, but someone softer, someone that somehow felt right. But that feeling came with guilt. I kept asking myself, what kind of man does this? What would Jennifer think? What would my colleagues say? I was supposed to be confident, masculine, in control, but instead, I felt like I was living a lie. Each night she worked, I found myself drawn back to that mirror. That reflection wasn't just a secret, it was becoming my truth. I started searching online, forums, stories, communities. I realized I wasn't alone. There were people just like me. Doctors, teachers, lawyers, people who looked strong on the outside but carried the same secret inside. They talked about peace, freedom, authenticity, and also about fear, rejection, and loss. Meanwhile, Jennifer and I were planning our wedding, picking colors, tasting cakes. She'd hold fabric swatches up to me, smiling, asking what I thought. And while I smiled back, all I could think about was how those fabrics might feel against my skin. The irony was painful. She was dreaming about her perfect wedding, while I was hiding a part of myself that wanted to feel the same kind of beauty she did. The double life started catching up with me. At work, I was distracted, making mistakes I never made before. During a heart surgery, my resident had to call my name twice before I even realized she was talking to me. That moment terrified me. My secret was bleeding into my career, into my life. At home, Jennifer began to notice. "Marcus," she said, "you seem so distant lately. Are you sure about the wedding?" I lied. I told her it was just stress. But she looked at me the way only someone who loves you can. Like she could see the truth I was too scared to say out loud. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" she whispered. That night, lying beside her, I made a decision. I couldn't keep living this double life. The hiding, the guilt. It was slowly killing me. I needed to be honest. But how do you tell the person you love that you've been hiding who you are? I started researching how others did it, how they told their partners, how they started those conversations. Some hinted, some went all in, some lost everything. Some found love stronger than ever. 2 weeks later, I bought my first dress. My own, navy blue. Simple, professional, something that felt like me, but still safe. That dress hung in my closet like a promise. And when Jennifer's long weekend finally came, I thought, this is it, the perfect moment. But life doesn't always stick to our plans. She came home early, texted me, "Home early, got your favorite takeout and wine. Can't wait to start our weekend." And that's when I whispered, "Jennifer, there's something I need to tell you, something important about who I am." She looked at me, eyes calm but curious. "Okay," she said, "I'm listening." And right there I knew this was the moment everything would change. Because what I was about to share wasn't about clothes or labels. It was about truth, about finally showing her the real me. Have you ever stood on the edge of truth, knowing that once you speak, nothing will ever be the same again? That's exactly where I was, standing in our apartment, staring at the woman I loved, knowing the next few words could change everything. Jennifer looked at me with that same calm strength she had when handling patients in crisis. "Okay," she said softly, "I'm listening." My throat tightened. I wanted to say it perfectly, but the words tangled inside me. How do you explain something you've hidden your whole life? I took a deep breath. There's a part of me I've been afraid to show you, I said. But it's not new, it's always been there. I just never had the courage to face it. She frowned, slightly, not in anger, but concern. Marcus, what are you talking about? I hesitated for a moment that felt like forever. Then, quietly, I said it. I cross-dress. The silence that followed could have swallowed the world. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears. Jennifer didn't speak. She didn't move. Her eyes searched mine like she was trying to understand, to see what I really meant. Finally, she whispered, "You mean like wearing women's clothes?" I nodded. It's more than that. When I do, I feel complete, calm, like I'm finally myself. I know it sounds strange, but it's not about pretending. It's about being. She turned away, her arms folded tightly, breathing shallow. I felt the air between us grow heavy with everything unsaid. Then she asked quietly, "How long?" "Since before we met," I admitted. But I never understood it. I thought I could just stop. But it's not something I can switch off. Jennifer sat down on the couch, eyes glistening. "So every time I work nights, that's what you were doing?" Her voice wasn't angry. It was hurt. That hurt cut deeper than any judgment ever could. I sat beside her, leaving space between us. "I was scared," I said. "Scared you'd see me differently. Scared I'd lose you." She looked at me for a long moment, then sighed. "I just wish you trusted me enough to tell me sooner." Her words hit like a gentle but painful truth. Trust. That's what I'd broken without even realizing it. Then something unexpected happened. Jennifer stood, walked to our bedroom, and came back, holding that same black dress, the one I'd borrowed from her closet months ago. My heart stopped. She held it out to me. "Is this the one?" I nodded, barely able to breathe. She smiled softly, a single tear tracing her cheek. "You stretched out the zipper," she said with a shaky laugh. "Guess I should have known." I stared at her, stunned. You're not angry?" She shrugged gently. "I don't fully understand it yet, but I do know this. You're still the man who held my hand when my dad was in surgery. The man who makes terrible coffee and still thinks it's good. That doesn't change because of a dress." Tears I didn't even realize I'd been holding back started falling. She wiped one away with her thumb. "But," she continued, "we need to talk about this. Really talk. Because if we're getting married, I want to know all of you. No more hiding." That night, for the first time, I didn't have to hide. We opened a bottle of wine, and I told her everything. How it started, how it made me feel, the fear, the shame, the peace. And she listened. Really listened. When I finally went quiet, she smiled gently. "Okay," she said. "Then let's figure this out, together." It wasn't a perfect ending. There were still questions, still boundaries, still fears. But there was also love. And love, when it's real, can hold space for truth. As I lay in bed that night beside her, I realized something powerful. Acceptance doesn't always come instantly. Sometimes it's built, patiently, layer by layer, moment by moment. And that night, we built the first piece of ours. People think the hardest part of coming out is saying the words, but that's not true. The hardest part is living those words afterward. After that night, things felt fragile but real between Jennifer and me. She didn't run, she didn't reject me, but she also didn't fully understand. And honestly, how could she? For years, I barely understood it myself. The next few days were strange. Gentle, cautious. She'd ask small questions over coffee. "Do you have a name for her? The version of you when you dress?" I told her no, not yet. It felt like naming a stranger I was only just getting to know. We didn't rush. Sometimes we'd talk about it for hours. Other times we'd just sit in silence, both processing what this new reality meant. Then one evening, out of nowhere, Jennifer looked up from her laptop and said, "Let's do it." I frowned. "Do what?" She smiled softly. "Let me meet her. All of her." My heart nearly stopped. I don't think I'm ready," I stammered. She shook her head. "You don't have to be ready. You just have to be you." She stood, took my hand, and led me to the bedroom. "Go change," she said. "Take your time." I stared at the navy blue dress hanging in my closet, the one that had waited quietly for its moment. My hands trembled as I unzipped the garment bag. For years, I'd done this in secret, quickly, nervously, afraid of footsteps in the hallway. But this time was different. This time, someone knew. Someone was waiting, not to judge, but to see. When I finally stepped out, my heart was pounding so hard it drowned out every sound in the room. Jennifer looked up from the bed and just stared. The silence stretched. Then she smiled, the kind of smile that starts in the eyes. "You look peaceful," she said. "Like you've been holding your breath for years and finally exhaled." I couldn't speak. Tears just spilled out. She walked up to me, brushed a strand of hair from my face, and whispered, "Hi, it's nice to finally meet you." Those words, so simple, broke me, because in that moment, I realized she wasn't just accepting me, she was seeing me. We spent the rest of the night talking, laughing, even crying a little. She asked about the things that made me feel most like myself, what colors I liked, what kind of clothes made me feel confident. And for the first time, I answered honestly. No more pretending to be the man who had it all figured out. No more shame and softness. That night, she took a photo of me. Not for social media, not for anyone else, just for us. A quiet promise that this part of me was real and welcome. The next morning, I woke up early, made coffee, and caught my reflection in the kitchen window. The person looking back wasn't just Marcus the surgeon. It was me, whole, balanced, finally breathing. Jennifer came up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist, and said, "So, when do I get to help you pick your next outfit?" We both laughed, but my chest tightened with gratitude. Because that moment, simple as it was, meant everything. That was the morning I stopped living in halves. But our story doesn't end there. Because when you start living authentically, the world around you starts to shift too. People notice, friends ask questions, and not everyone reacts with kindness. Peace never lasts forever. You can hide behind closed doors for only so long before life decides to test you. For me, that test came at work, the one place I thought I could keep these two worlds apart. It started with something small, a Monday morning, coffee in hand. I'd been on call all weekend, still half asleep, when Dr. Kim, my resident, smiled and said, "Big weekend, Dr. Thorne? You look different today." I laughed it off, but inside my pulse spiked. Had she noticed something? The faint shimmer of clear nail polish Jennifer had convinced me to try? The way my posture had softened because, for once, I wasn't hiding inside my own skin. I brushed it aside until that afternoon. Someone had left a photo printout in my locker, a picture of me in the navy dress, Jennifer's photo, the one she promised no one else would ever see. My stomach dropped. I locked the door, staring at the picture like it might catch fire. How had it gotten there? Did Jennifer share it? No, she wouldn't. That meant one thing. Someone had been in our home. When I got home that night, Jennifer's face went pale when she saw the photo. "I swear I didn't," she started. "I know," I said, "but someone knows." That was the night we realized our secret world wasn't safe anymore. The next day, whispers followed me through the hallway. Little things, nurses going quiet when I walked by, a few smirks from residents who suddenly avoided eye contact. No one said anything directly, but silence has a language of its own. At lunch, Dr. Kim approached me. She hesitated before speaking. "I think someone might have found your personal photos. They're making jokes. I'm sorry." Her voice cracked a little on sorry. And that's when I realized this wasn't just gossip. It was exposure. I spent the next few days in a blur of anxiety. I'd built my career on precision and control. Now I felt like I was operating on myself without anesthesia. Jennifer looked at me one evening and said, "You've always saved people, Marcus. Maybe it's time to save yourself." That hit me hard. So I made a choice. Instead of hiding, I scheduled a meeting with the hospital board, the people who held my future in their hands. I walked in wearing my usual scrubs, but I carried something far heavier: honesty. "I want to address the rumors before they grow," I told them. "I cross-dress. It's part of my personal expression. It doesn't affect my ability to do my job. If anything, it's helped me understand empathy better than ever before." The room was silent for a full 10 seconds. Then the chief of staff, an older woman who'd mentored me years ago, simply nodded. "As long as you keep saving lives, Dr. Thorne, you can wear whatever shoes you like outside these walls." Relief flooded through me. Not everyone would approve, I knew that, but I'd stopped living for approval. When I got home that night, Jennifer was waiting with 2 glasses of wine. "So," she said, "how did it go?" I smiled. "They didn't fire me." She laughed, a sound that felt like sunlight after weeks of rain. That night, I finally understood what courage really means. It's not the absence of fear. It's walking straight through it with trembling hands and doing it anyway. But as one chapter closed, another opened, because now that the truth was out, the world began to see me differently, sometimes with kindness, sometimes with cruelty. And that's where the next part of my story begins. It's about walking through public spaces for the first time as my true self, and realizing that the world's gaze can break you or set you free. If this story touched you, leave a comment, because visibility matters, and every voice that speaks up makes it easier for the next one to be heard.